Hey everyone, I'm back with Rob Jacobs. Hey Rob.
Hey Jen, how are you?
Good. And Rob has been a real estate agent and been processing short sales since 2002. He also coaches agents on how to do it, or if they don't want to learn how to do it, which I recommend that they don't because it's such a pain, he will process them for us. But Rob, last time we talked, we discussed the difference between forbearance and deferment. Then we discussed in the second video, we talked about once the forbearance was over, what are the likely options and what those options meant. And now I want to talk to you about short sales. So tell us who is a likely candidate for a short sale, because really it's like, or what's the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure too? Maybe let's start there.
Well, foreclosure is uh, when you don't make your mortgage payments. Typically, after 4 months, the bank puts you into default, sends your loan information to their attorneys
Mm-hmm.
to start the foreclosure process. Now, every state has a different system. Some states are judicial or foreclosures. Other states,
Do you process short sales in all the states, or are there states you
yes,
stay away from?
yeah. I process short sales in all the states. Some states don't are non-recourse though, like California and Washington, where if the bank forecloses, they can't come after the homeowner for
Okay.
the deficiency. But that's not the case in the majority of states. Usually, it's when the foreclosure happens, you're out on the street and you owe the bank the difference between what the house sold for at auction and what you owe on the mortgage.
But there
Now,
used to be, or I thought like you would only do a short sale if there was something wrong financially. So then when you went to go report that you owed that money to them, didn't a lot of times it got forgiven because you were in still a financial
yeah,
issue?
Yeah, the government backed the GSEs and the FHA typically will give you a debt release if you're financially unstable,
Or
unsound,
insolvent, I guess
insolvent,
they called it, right?
insolvency. Yep. So basically, if you're if your debt to income ratio is in the red, um, the GSEs are likely going to let you out of the debt. Not only that, but they may give you up to 3,000, even up to $10,000 for relocation expenses at closing, which is
Why would they do that?
well, that was part of the HAMP program, and they just kind of continued along with it. So
Okay.
it's
So the
helping people.
foreclosure is where how would you decide as a homeowner if you should do a foreclosure or do a short sale?
Well, foreclosure is going to be horrible. If you're in a non-recourse state, or even if you are, you're going to have 7 years of bad credit right out of the gate.
Okay.
So you're not going to buy a house for a long time. If you buy a car, anything you do for the next 7 years, you're going to be paying extremely high interest rates.
Okay.
Worst thing you can have on your credit is a foreclosure.
It's like
Now,
an eviction if you're a renter.
right? Yeah. It's traumatizing to your credit report, and as we know today, these days, credit reporting is everything. Anything you do, you're getting your credit pulled, and you got
Right.
to have good credit to do anything in life these days. So when you end up in foreclosure, the states that do have recourse, the banks can go after you for the difference of what you owe and what it sells for at the auction. And some of them can be pretty aggressive. They're going to sell it to a third party collection agency, and your phone's going to ring off the hook. And every state has different laws and rules on how that is to be done. But
Hmm.
I know a lot of states that they can collect for up to 7 years and then go
Wow.
to the court and then ask for another 10 years and another 10
Wow.
years. And they can just collect until you're gone.
But that doesn't happen in a short sale?
Uh, Typically, no. The goal is to get you out of debt. So
Okay.
when I review a person's finances right in the beginning, I'm going to tell them their options of what I think. Do I if I think that I'm going to be able to get them out of a full debt release, or if they make a little bit too much money. And what'll happen is if they're borderline and they make a little bit extra money, is they may have to bring a little bit of cash to closing table to get the release,
But
or
then
they may
it's
have
released and they're done.
then yeah, it'll be done. or they may have to pay back, like say 5-year loan, X amount of dollars at 0% interest, which is still better than whatever interest rate they have now. So maybe they owe $20,000 as a deficiency. The bank takes $10,000 over 5 years at 0%. That's better than what you're doing now. And the house is
But
gone.
it still negatively impacts their credit, though, the short sale.
It's 2 years, and it goes on reported to the credit agency, paid in full for less than amount owed.
Okay.
So 2 years bad credit. And honestly, I've seen a lot of banks just forget to report it to the credit agencies. I've had people call me in 6 months where their credit scores are back up to 700s and are looking for a house.
Nice.
The bank's just out of sight, out of mind, I guess. And basically all they need to do is recover from a few months of missing payments, which can be done in 6 months or so.
I think too, like the way that I always think about it is like the short sale like denotes to anybody that you would borrow money from again that you were working, like something happened and you took care of it and were calling and trying to work with them immediately.
Yeah.
And that's better. Communication is always better than like maybe a foreclosure can denote that you just ignored it, hoping it would go away, and it didn't go away. I know there are some cases where the foreclosure is really the only option. But I imagine that in most cases, or how can you tell if like foreclosure is a better option than a short sale?
Well, I can't really think of any cases where.
Yeah, I just thought maybe I was missing something. I couldn't think of any either. Okay.
Yeah, it's a short sale is always going to be better because, at least for the credit, if nothing else,
Yeah.
But like you said, the banks look at that and they take it to heart. When they see that you've been working with them and tried everything that you could, that makes a difference when you're getting a loan down the line. And a lot of people that are in foreclosure, it's heart wrenching. They don't know what to do. They're angry. They're confused.
It's frustrating.
I'm a psychiatrist half the time when I'm talking to people because they're in a spot that they just can't get a grip on, and that situation makes them make bad decisions because they are lost.
It would for anybody. I mean, anybody in a stressful situation. So should the homeowner just call you, connect with you directly, or should they get a real estate agent first, or like, how does this work?
Either way, they can contact me directly, or they can call the realtor who can contact me. I work with homeowners all over the country and realtors as well. So like if you're a realtor and you have a client that needs a short sale, just give me a call. We'll talk about their situation, and if the realtor can't answer all the questions, typically I'll call the seller or forward the realtor a list of questions that I need answered to the seller. And then we'll put our heads together and figure out if they're going to be a candidate for a short sale.
Why would the homeowner need to have an agent in a short sale?
Banks require that it's listed with a realtor for typically, 7 to 12 days is I believe the minimum for FHA. But they want to show that it's being marketed professionally. And of course,
are there guidelines on what the agent can list it at, or is it like they can list it at market value and then you're helping negotiate because it'll be less than what's owed, so then you're helping negotiate the difference there, or how does that work?
Well, you want to list it at market value because
you need an offer.
Yeah, you got to have an offer. There's no sense in listing it over market value because you're not going to sell the house. Not only that, but the buyer won't be able to get in a loan because it won't appraise.
Well, and I think that's an important piece that we need to draw out. The purpose of the short sale is to negotiate with the bank to take less than what's owed. But in order to do that, you have to have somebody that's willing to pay an amount for the house so that you have something to negotiate, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's all about the price.
Right. That makes sense. So then so let's say in a normal sale, the new buyer would do like an inspection. And let's say there were some inspection items that came back. Is the bank going to do those inspection items, or does the homeowner?
I'm going to say 99.9% of the time, the bank will not give any exceptions. It's the house is as is, where is.
Got it.
They won't give you any money. They won't give you any credit. They won't make anything, pay for anything. I have had a couple instances where the bank gave the credits, but extremely rare. Don't expect it.
Okay.
So
So then that's going to result in a lower offer though from
yeah,
the new buyer.
it could. Yeah. And then you go back to the homeowner. Can the homeowner make these repairs? Probably not, because
Probably not. That's the whole point. And if
yeah,
they were able to, they're not going to spend the last money they have on
yeah,
this. They're going to want to eat
yeah.
or,
So
yeah,
the price needs to be according to the condition of the house.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
the agent then would tell you the price and then you would work and then they would get an offer and then you would work with the bank to take that.
yep, I'll work with the realtor and the seller, or if it's just, if I'm working just one of my deals with the seller, then me and the seller, and then I'll take all the information that we have from all parties. I'll submit it to the bank after I scrutinize it thoroughly, which I spend a lot of time on the paperwork, because that is where I'm going to get the most.
That's where the deal gets done. Yeah.
That's when the deal gets done. And then I submit it to the bank, and then it's just numerous follow-up phone calls, waiting on hold, trying to get through to managers to get it assigned, making sure that all the documents are in and complete. And the process can take, anywhere from 1 to 3, even 4 months. I've
Or
even had
longer.
sales go 2 years. So,
Yeah. I mean, what's an average though?
yeah, the average is about 2 to 3 months.
So they're either going to work with you or they're not, but you have a very high success rate in getting
Yeah.
the bank to complete it because the alternative to the short sale is the foreclosure, correct?
Yeah, typically when you get 4 months behind, you're in default, and the bank's going to want all of that money, all your back payments, plus penalties and everything else, attorney fees paid, in order to get out of that. So
Right.
if you are in default facing foreclosure, yeah, you're looking at either do the short sale, um, or if you want to keep the house, then you can try a modification, but you shouldn't have went into a short sale in the first place if you want to try to
Right.
keep it. But yeah, otherwise it's going to end up in foreclosure, because nobody's going to have, if it's your payment's $2,000 a month, you're looking at, $8,000 plus penalties, plus attorney fees.
Which is like another 10 grand easily.
Yeah. So it's just not realistic. And then that's when people end up in foreclosure. And I get calls a lot of time from people that, my auction is next week. What do I do? Well, call your bank right now. Tell them that you are listing it, ready to list it with a realtor. Ask them if you can do a short sale, and will they stop the auction?
Hmm.
And they're going to probably say no, but every now and again they say yes. It's worth a phone call.
So I think like the biggest takeaway is if you, most likely at this point, you've already done the forbearance with the bank, but then maybe your job wasn't getting back to normal. So you try to work with the bank on modifying the loan because most people want to stay in their house.
Most do, yeah.
Sometimes, you realize that the house, you're never going to be able to stay in it. So you may go straight to a short sale. But like,
Yep.
let's say you want to stay. So then by then you've tried to work with them on a loan modification. Maybe you can't come to terms or it's just it's not going to work. And then they do the short sale.
Yep. Yeah, and most of the people get denied just because of poorly written applications.
On the loan mod or the short?
For the loan mod and the short sale. It's pretty close to the same documentation for the modification and the short sale.
Okay.
And since the banks don't give you really good directions and they can't answer questions, people find themselves doing it themselves and making mistakes, and then they get denied for the modification, and then they have to do a short sale.
Right.
And then
That
that's
sucks.
where I come in. Yeah, and it does, and by that time they've given up hope and they want to sell usually.
Yeah.
So,
But that's when they can, I mean, if they're in the loan modification, they can call those companies
yeah,
that can help them for free.
yeah, every community has a free help for helping them with loan modifications.
Okay.
They don't necessarily do it for short sales because it's real estate, and it's a different.
That makes sense. And it has to be listed. So like, okay. So if I'm a homeowner and I've done all that and it's time for a short sale, how do you get paid?
Well, I charge the bank a percentage of my fee, and
Okay.
then I ask the buyer or the seller to pay the remainder. And
Okay.
it's variable, depends on how many, if there's two liens,
Okay.
which bank we're dealing with, how difficult the
So
situation
you're
is.
basically negotiating your fee as part of the deal.
Right. Yep.
Okay. That makes sense. Um, cool. So then what I'm taking away from this now is if you have tried everything and you're getting denied, then the next step is a short sale versus a foreclosure typically, and don't wait
Oh, no.
till you're at the auction. Yes.
Yep.
Communicate quickly, and then either to reach out to you directly or to have their agent reach out to you directly.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And my website is shortsalepathways.com,
Nice.
and they can reach me at 888-416-4526, and I'm pretty much always available.
Perfect. And we'll put that in the comments and stuff too, so they have that link. Well,
Awesome.
thanks a lot, Rob, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Always great talking to you.
You too.